Steve Jewin, MMA Mania.
Josh, you're on the line with Steve Jewin of MMA Mania.
What's going on, bud?
Not a whole lot. Hey, I was just talking to King Mo a little bit ago, and we both agree you won 4 out of 5 rounds in that Henderson versus Thomson fight. I was there, and man, I don't know how the judges got that one wrong.
I have no clue, man. I had myself losing the third. I had myself winning 1 and 2, and then 4 and 5. I could have said 5 was a toss, like a 50-50, because neither one of us really did a whole lot in the, but I thought I had myself winning the 5th. But hey, like I said, I can't do all in the past, man. You gotta just move forward.
Indeed, you are moving forward because now you're in Bellator, and you've already said in a press release that we ran that you like the fit here better, and obviously you've known Scott Coker for a long time. Just in general, sum up the feeling now that you're part of Bellator.
I mean, it's a sense of relief. I think a lot of it has to do with the contract being done. Once the contract gets done, like, look, you can be friends with somebody, but when you do business with friends, you get a little concerned. Like, you don't want to step on each other's toes. You don't want to piss each other off. You don't want to, like, slap them in the face. The relationship that him and I have, it's just not just fighting, not just he's my promoter. There's a friendship there. There's, hey, let's get some coffee. Let's go play golf. There's that type of relationship there, and you don't want to ruin that, especially over business, and so once the contract was signed and everything was good, it was like a big sense of stress relief was gone. It was like, okay, look, now it's just a matter of getting the fight done, getting the promotion going, and doing whatever it is that I can do to help build this promotion to be the best promotion in the world.
Got a big fight September 19th, Dynamite 1, taking on Mike Bronzoulis, fighting in front of your hometown crowd. It's got to feel like deja vu.
That was definitely one of the perks of signing with them, is that knowing that they're going to be fighting in San Jose and hopefully more often. And then on top of that, for me, the biggest part was I said, hey, when I sign this contract, I want to be on this card, because I knew the importance of being part of something that's never been done before. You have the greatest kickboxing organization in Glory, and you have which we're trying to build to be the greatest MMA organization in the world. In Bellator, it's in the same arena. Fans are getting double the fights, and not the same fights, not the same MMA fights, not always the same, deal. It's, they get to watch kickboxing at the highest level, plus they get to watch, MMA at the highest level. So you get to watch these two organizations put on great fights for the fans. I think right now they're already at about 16,000 tickets sold. It's a no comp event, so they're actually selling all these tickets. And, it's great to know that the fans are coming out in truckloads, to support the organization.
Right, and it's a completely unpredictable event, too, because of the 4-man light heavyweight tournament. Nobody knows which way that's going to go or who's going to end up in the finals.
Exactly, and that to me is what's exciting about it. I mean, not only are they just doing the 4-man tournament, but like I said, they have the kickboxing events going on as well. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. Like, when you sit down to watch the first 2 fights, you don't know who's going to be in the finals. So you're watching on the edge of your seat to see who's going to go to the finals, and then you also got to see if they make it out of the fight well enough to even get to go to the finals, because they may be hurt, they may be this, but it's going to be a great fight, man. I mean, like, these guys, they're going to go out there and lay it on the line.
And it's a stacked card top to bottom, and there's even a reserve bout for the tournament with Francis Carmont and Philippe Lynn, so they got that covered as well. But we want to talk about your fight with Mike Bronzoulis, because I spoke to him this morning, and he seems to think that you may not be the fighter you used to be.
That's what they all say, and I'm okay with that. It is what it is, I don't really have an issue with it, and it is what it is. I mean, of course, I'm going to be 37, like a day or 2 after the fight. It's like there's no secret that I'm getting older, but the will to win definitely still there.
Oh, yeah.
I think anyone that's seen my Benson fight or seen my last fight, it's like, there's no doubt that I still want to win. I have too much pride not to want to go out there and lay it all on the line. So, people can say what they want, but, that's why we fight the fight. We'll find out who wants to win when we get in there.
No, and I'm glad you mentioned the other 2 fights as well, because before the Ferguson fight, each of those fights go into a split decision. I thought the judges got it wrong, and I'm just going to be honest, the Ferguson one, I didn't know what happened to you in that fight. I was watching that fight like, this doesn't seem like the Josh Thomson that I know.
No, it's just, hey, I got clipped with a good shot, in the second round, and, basically I remember the whole fight. I remember it being a tough fight. It felt like I was just a step behind after that, after I got hit with a good elbow in the second. it just seemed like everything I did was like a step behind. In the third round, I felt like there was moments I had to capitalize on positioning as far as potentially getting a choke, potentially getting, in good position to hit a submission. But I thought it, and when I got done thinking it, it was gone. And that has to do with just taking your hat off to the kid, man. The kid fought a good fight. It happens, man. Like I said, that's part of the game. There's days you show up and you feel great and the fight doesn't go your way, and there's days you show up and you don't feel good, and all of a sudden you go out there and it's a great performance, and that's just a fight game, man. It happens, and I can live with that. I was trying to explain to somebody, with the Benson fight, I felt like I got robbed. With the Bobby Green fight, I just felt like, you know what? You won the fight. You could have done more to solidify the fact that you won the fight. But with the Ferguson fight, like, it really just came down to, it just wasn't my night, man. Like, I tried hard. I tried to push. I felt like there was moments I could have capitalized in the third, and I just didn't do it. Just didn't get it done. And that's the reality of it all. So, as far as moving forward now and just trying to get things going and start fresh. That's really what it comes down to. Just, you're in a new place, new home, new talent in front of you that's just as hungry and just as talented as ever, and you need to go out there and you need to perform. Otherwise, they're going to knock your block off.
Well, that's what Brunzula said he wants to do, but he also gave you the credit and said, anybody can have an off night, anybody can have a bad day, but I don't expect to be facing Josh Thomson on an off day. I'll face the best Josh Thomson ever.
Yeah, I think he understands that, and I think it's been this way forever. The last couple of years, everyone has everything to gain by beating me, and I have nothing to gain. So this, to me, is the fact that, like, I know where Bellator is headed. I know where Bellator's vision is to build the lightweight division and make, and to make us all superstars, given all we got to do is just win, and the fact that it's there for the picking, and I just need to go out there and get a win. That's the biggest deal.
Do you feel like now that you're in a Scott Coker organization again, that it's like extra weight off your shoulders?
No, I wish. The thing is, once the contract was done, it's like a sense of relief, like the business part of it is over. I think every athlete feels that way. I listen to professional football players and baseball players talk all the time, and they're like, now that the contract's set aside, we can get down to business. And that's the truth. It's hard to fight when you have contract stuff negotiating on the side or over your head, hanging over your head, And that was a big reason why I decided to go ahead and test out the free market agency, given the relationship with Scott, just to kind of see exactly, what my worth was, and they stepped up to the table, and I'm happy to be here.
The other thing that we gleaned from that press release that came out when you were signed was that Reebok was going to make it impossible for UFC to match any third-party offer that was out there.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, when you look at what I made for the last fight, right? I made $5,000 in sponsor, from the Reebok deal, and I haven't even fought yet, and I'm already at about $35,000 for this fight.
Right, that's a huge difference.
Oh, that being said, it makes it a lot easier to go ahead and move forward, and that's only with just a couple sponsors. That's not counting the other sponsors that are potentially going to come with. We're still in the process of negotiating other sponsors. That we'll see exactly where they're at. But regardless, I'm still already, $30,000 or $25,000 greater than I was last fight. On top of my fight purse is going to be more money as well. So I'm excited. Not really too concerned. I'm happy with the decision I made, and I'm moving forward. That's it.
And it seems a lot of fighters are. Phil Davis said the same when I talked to him in St. Louis, and we've seen Josh Koscheck sign his too. It seems like more and more talent is migrating over, that they're happier to not be under the Reebok restriction anymore.
Well, look, the thing is, you can't put it on Reebok. Reebok did a business deal. That was it. Like, that's the thing. You can't put it on Reebok. Reebok did a deal with another company, and the part of the deal was that, that all their employees would wear Reebok. It's not Reebok's fault. I don't blame Reebok. I actually kind of like their attire that they had, like the quality of their products seemed nice. I mean, we all look the same, but I don't knock all that. Like I said, I'm not knocking the two organizations. I'm not knocking, UFC. I'm not knocking Reebok. It just wasn't meant for me. And that's all I gotta say. If other fighters want to follow suit and what I did, more power to you guys. I did what was best for me, and that's it. And if people want to try that, go for it. Give it a try. If you don't want to try it, then don't. But at the end of the day, I did what was best for me, what was best for my family, did what's best for my lifestyle. And and when I look back on my life, I'm not gonna have any regrets. Like, oh, I could have went here. Oh, I could have. No, I did what I wanted to do. I did what made me happy. I didn't do what everybody else was doing or what everybody else wanted me to do. I did it for me.
I really won't knock Reebok too much either. The only thing I would knock is Gilbert Melendez instead of Gilbert. That's the only one that really just like what?
It happens, man. Gilbert's on the sideline right now for a little bit, but Gilbert will be back.
I'm kind of hoping at some point maybe he'll come over to Bellator too.
I think we're done knocking years off of our lives for each other.
Well, that's true. You guys had 3 wars, so maybe not a 4th. Maybe that's just enough is enough at this point.
There's tons of new talent for us to fight in Bellator. We don't need to we don't need to fight each other.
Now, Mike did say he feels like if he beats you, he'd earn a title shot against Will Brooks. But of course, Brooks has Marcin Held to deal with first. But I'll flip that around and say, do you feel the same way about beating him? Do you think that moves you into contention?
No, I don't feel that way. I don't feel by beating him that I earned a title shot. I think that the talent that's in the organization, from Chandler to Rickles to Will Brooks, those guys, no. I don't even think it's even in the conversation, to be honest. And I'm being very upfront. You can't look, given even who I am and what I've done and what I've accomplished in my career. There was never an expectation I was going to come into this organization, fight Mike Bronzoulis or fight Chandler, and not have to still fight Rickles or not still have to fight somebody else to even get to Will Brooks. That was never even in the conversation. When I negotiated this contract, that was never even the conversation. I looked at the conversation of exactly how is this going to leave me as far as financially able to take care of myself after fighting. That's all I did. There was never a conversation of like, hey, if I win this next fight, I want a title shot. It wasn't that way. Do I know the vision? Do I see exactly what the plans are for Bellator? Do I know exactly where they plan on? I do know. Do you guys know? No. Am I going to tell you? No. But I do know. And I got to say, I'm excited about it all. I'm excited to hopefully be a part of it. But I have to win fights. And by winning fights, that'll kind of answer everything. And we'll just worry about that situation, then. But right now, it's about getting past Mike. And the fact that he thinks that way, I don't know, whatever. He can think that way. That's his own business. I'm not getting here at all. He can think that way, but I don't want him to feel disappointed. Whether he loses to me, he's definitely even further away. But if he wins, I really don't even think it's in a conversation. I don't even think it's part of a conversation. Like I said, I was still planning to fight someone like Chandler. I was still planning to fight someone like Rickles, those guys. Those guys have been in this organization since the beginning, pretty much. I really can't imagine fighting for the Bellator title without trying to get through one of them.
I'm glad you brought their names up too, because when your signing was first announced, I have a co-host of an MMA show that lives in Ottawa, and we immediately started making fantasy matchups. And the very first two we came up with were you versus Michael Chandler and you versus David Rickles. So I think there's a lot of other people out there that are excited about that.
Well, just to kind of ease your guys' mind, I honestly believe that Rickles was going to be my first fight. It just so happened that he had booked like a vacation. And so he had just was on his first day of his vacation when we had called to see if he was interested in fighting. And because we weren't sure if the contract was going to get done in time, that type of stuff. So I guess they were going to offer him the fight, but then they found out he was on vacation, so that fight fell through. So let me just tell you, the Bellator is on the same plan that you guys are on, is that they do want me to fight these guys. And I'm definitely excited to fight these guys. I have nothing but respect for them. I've had an opportunity and chance to talk with Chandler several times. He's a stand-up guy, nice guy. I'm excited. I think he's super talented. You know, I think these are the fights that fans want to see, and that's the benefit of this whole deal. Is when I went to other organizations, all I heard was, "Oh, I want to see you fight Cerrone. I want to see you fight Pettis." I was never offered those guys. You know, like the whole time I was there, I asked for them. You know, the whole time. So the fact that I was never even really offered them, you know, like it wasn't available, and it's not the fighter's fault, and it's just that. You know, I had fans that were bugging me constantly before I was even in the UFC that it would be great to see me fight these guys, and that's all I wanted to fight. And so when I got there and I wanted to fight them, it never came to fruition, which was upsetting for me, you know, and I'm sure it was more upsetting for the fans. But the fact that fans are tuning in already and they're like, as soon as I sign, they're like, yeah, let me see you and Chandler, let me see you and Rickles, let me see you and Will Brooks. It lets me know that. And I know I know how Scott is. Scott's like, look, if the fans want this fight, let's put this fight together. You know, and that's I think that's what's going to make this organization great. You know, is that these fans want to see Chandler. I mean, my Twitter feed blew up. I think probably close to, you know, 3,000-4,000 messages about, you know, me fighting Chandler or me fighting Rickles or how many people want to see me fight for Will Brooks. You know, and I'm excited. I'm excited for that type of fight. You know, I'm ready. I feel like, you know, let me get this fight going. Let me get through this fight. Let me prove I belong, you know, and then, we'll go from there. You know, we'll worry about the other guys, you know, right after this fight.
The other nice thing about it right now is that being it's a whole new era for Bellator, you don't have to enter yourself into a tournament.
I think what's going on with like King Mo and Phil Davis and them fighting in this tournament, I think it's awesome.
Well, yeah.
I mean, two fights in one night.
Right, but 8-man tournaments were a little... No, go ahead.
That's dope, man. I'm so excited to watch this because you don't know what's gonna happen, right? You're gonna sit there like, oh crap. And then part two, like the finals, it's all determines on how much of a beating the guy in the first fight took. And so you know, you could have the guy in the first fight who you think is going to win the whole thing. Let's just say like King Mo or Phil Davis going to win the whole thing, right? But what happens if he took a ton of leg kicks, he can barely walk, he can't shoot, he can't do, you know what I mean? Like, what happens? And then he gets into the finals and he's fighting like an underdog. He's fighting the underdog and you're like, the underdog now has an upper hand because, you know, these guys are banged up. So it brings a whole new light to the sport, and I'm getting excited just talking about it right now. Right. So it's pretty cool, man. It's going to be great for the fans.
No, and I hope you didn't misconstrue what I meant. It's like, yeah, it's great because it's a one-night tournament, but the old tournaments, they'd stretch out over like a month or two, and you would take forever to get to the point where somebody even qualified to get a title shot, and they would still have to wait a few more months after that before they actually got to use their title shot. It seemed like a very overly elaborate process.
I think that's why people didn't follow Bellator back then. The style of it all was just not. It didn't feed into being fan friendly. People tuned in. They're like, "Okay, who's fighting?" They see the fight they want to see, but then they forgot to tune in again 3 weeks later because they just forgot. You know, it's like, oh well, in 3 weeks or a month or 6 weeks later, I'm gonna watch this guy fight again. But by then, they lost. Like, okay, who was that guy and what was this? And the luster of it all was gone. This is all in one night. I mean, it's going to be amazing. I mean, fans are going to be like, this is awesome.
It is a stacked card, and it's going to be awesome, not just like you said, the tournament all in one night, your fight with Mike Ronzoulis, but just the entire spectacle of the whole thing. Kickboxing, MMA, side by side, simultaneous fights in the prelims. There is so much action going on here it's no wonder 16,000 seats are already sold. It's no surprise. And
what I love about the whole thing is it's a no-comp event. So everyone they've already bought tickets. People are buying tickets. You're not going to see the first 10 rows filled with comps. People bought these tickets. Like, this is a no-comp event. You know, like, that's it. So all the people you see, all the fans you see in the crowd, those are all people that actually, they're supporting this event. They're supporting their fighters. They're supporting Bellator and Glory. And I think it's only going to get better. I mean, it's going to get bigger. It's going to get better. This is what happens when you have a promoter that thinks outside the box.
Out of those 16,000 and plus, a lot of them are going to be wearing Josh Punk Thomson t-shirts.
Yeah, I'm hoping. We'll see. You know, I'm from San Jose, so I'm hoping the big turnout comes.
So what is the response like locally, knowing that you're back and you're fighting again?
I get a great energy every time I just walk around San Jose. I mean, people from all around, you know, they walk up, they know me, they seem to like me, you know. I mean, like it's great to see. You know, I don't think there's nothing better than walking into like a coffee shop and you see like 3 or 4 cops sitting in the corner, a couple firefighters, and they all like get up and want to shake your hand, say hi, how are you? You know, and they all want to talk to you about it, you know, about fighting, and it's nice. It's nice to know, you know, that fans come in kind of all shapes and sizes, and you know, and all different breeds. You know, they're everywhere. You know, fans can be, you know, little kids from girls to, you know, to grown ass men. You know, and it's great to know that they all watch and support the events.
I just want to come back full circle to the fight with Bronzoulis, and I'm sure you're on weight with it only being a little over a week away now, but what do you usually walk around before a fight?
Right now I'm about 175. So, I'm usually around this weight almost every fight. I'm usually stay around 175 until about Wednesday before the weight cut. And then I'll start dieting down a little bit by Wednesday, Thursday. By Friday, I'm on weight. You know, I never have any problems making weight. My weight's pretty easy. So, you know, I don't really cut a whole lot of weight. A lot of these guys are cutting from, you know, 185, 190, you know, and that's not me.
That's just too much of a health risk anyway if you have to cut that much to make a weight.
I just feel like the longevity of me being in a sport, a lot of it has been because of the way I take care of my body, the way, you know, kind of just the way I've never cut a lot of weight. I've always eaten clean. I've always just kind of just taken care of myself, you know. I've done a lot of running. I've done the road work. I've done all these things, you know. I put in the time, put in the effort to learn the techniques, you know, and things like that. So, that to me is what's important.
Well, if it comes right down to physique and conditioning, I can say firsthand from seeing you at the weigh-ins for the Henderson-Thomson fight, you know, you looked ready to go right there on that scale. It's like you weren't drawn out and needing to, like, heavily rehydrate. You were like, I can take this fight right now.
Yeah, I mean, normally that's about how I feel. I mean, obviously I feel a little tired and stuff because you just depleted all your water. But, I mean, especially in that fight, I was having a hard time keeping my weight on that camp. I mean, I was training so much, so hard. It was pretty tough, you know. So, I mean, I was walking around probably like 168, 167, having to eat everything in sight just to keep my weight on.
Okay, well, that just leaves me one more question then before we wrap it up. When you gotta eat everything in sight to put on weight, what are the things that you like to eat? Like when you cheat or go off the diet, what do you eat?
Like during camp, I don't cheat at all. Like my idea of cheating is having like a slush puppy, like little ice, like one of those little ice cream things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of like my idea of cheating, which is nothing but just water, basically, like water and sweetener. So, I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, other than that, like my idea of cheating is realistically is like fruit. You know, I'll eat I'll eat watermelon, I'll eat, you know, a lot of berries. I eat a lot of raspberries, a lot of blueberries. I eat a lot of that stuff, you know, but that to me is not really cheating. It's just, I just tend to eat more of it when I feel like I need a cheat meal, you know, so I'll put more raspberries or more blueberries on my oatmeal, you know, I'll sit on the couch and eat like a half bucket of like red grapes. You know, that's kind of like my cheat. Those are my cheats. Yeah, I really don't have cheating, to be honest. So, if I'm gonna, like, as far as cheating, I would say, like, you know, it'd be a drink. Not alcohol or anything, but, you know, I'll probably have, like, orange juice instead of just water. You know, that's at Arnold Palmer. You know, I'll have half lemonade, half iced tea instead of water, or, you know, that's about it. That's the extent of my cheating. During camp, I don't cheat. There's just always, I have the willpower not to cheat. It's the after camp that gets me. The macadamia and peanuts or pancakes, you know, with coconut syrup, those type of things. Those type of things get me every time.
So you save it for after the fight. It's the post-victory celebration that counts.
Yeah, yep. It does. But I mean, you know what's funny is lately, I'm not a big drinker, but lately I've been craving beer, like during camp. Like I see people when I'm eating at a restaurant, I see people just like sitting down drinking a beer. I think it's because it's been so hot here. So I look over and I see people like drinking a beer like in a nice ice cold cup, and I'm like, damn, that looks good. And I don't normally crave beer, you know, but lately, maybe it's just because I'm getting older. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. You know, they say your taste buds and all that stuff changes every 7 years. Maybe my taste buds are changing more for the likes of beer. Who knows?
Well, I definitely think the humidity has something to do with it, because I went to a football game this weekend and it was over 90 degrees with a 90 heat index. So I was looking at the people around me drinking beer going, I know I said I wasn't going to drink today, but that looks so good.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, when you see somebody holding like an ice cold bottle or like an ice cold cup, you know, and they're drinking a beer and it's 90 something degrees outside, you're like, gosh, man, that looks refreshing and good.
Well,
even though you know it's not like hydrating you, it's actually dehydrating you, it still seems really good.
Right, exactly, yeah. That's why I didn't want to do it, because I was like, I'm just going to dehydrate myself if I drink anything today. But maybe after the fight, when you're in the air conditioning of the SAP Center, maybe afterward, when all the press is gone, maybe you can settle down and have one.
Maybe. After all this is done, I will.
All right. Well, let's get some closing plugs. Any sponsors you want to mention? Social media. I think everybody knows it's at The Real Punk, but anything else you want to throw out there?
Yeah, all my social media is at The Real Punk. So my Snapchat, my Twitter, my Instagram, it's all at The Real Punk. And then, you can follow me on Facebook. I have a fan page as well. Follow me on there, Josh the Punk Thomson. And then, as far as sponsors, Affliction, American Ethanol, Oak Grove, you know, all these guys, you know, they've been following me for years. They've been helping take care of me and sponsor me, you know, and, I truly appreciate them. You know, you can also follow my gym. Like my gym site is knoxgym.com. You can go on there as well, kind of see what we're doing with kids, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. You can see all the other stuff that we're doing with the adults programs, all the boot camp style stuff we're doing as well. If you're looking for like a nice boot camp, we run a really great boot camp out of our gym called Knox Gym. So we have a hard knocks boot camp that we do for all fitness levels. Pretty dope. So, all right.
All right, I'll be sure to check that out.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my
Thanks,
pleasure.
Steve.
Yeah, thanks, CJ. Thanks, Josh, and good luck in the fight.